I had spent 2 decades hunting white-collar criminals across 3 continents, yet nothing prepared me for what I found the day I came home. Cypress Ridge Estates, a sprawling maze of beige homes and manicured lawns, stood arrogantly on the land my late aunt had left me in Austin, Texas. My land. A gleaming sign mocked me at the entrance. "Welcome to Cypress Ridge, a premier gated community." I stared, stunned, at what had been wildflower fields and oak groves. They thought they could steal it unnoticed. They didn't know I was Ethan Walker, and I'd spent my life exposing fraud. As the Uber slowed near the gates, the driver glanced at me, puzzled. "You sure this is the place?" he muttered. My stomach dropped as I stared at row after row of identical stucco houses stretching across my land. The community sign read, "Cypress Ridge Estates." I stepped out and walked straight to the sales office, heart pounding. Inside, the receptionist smiled too brightly, directing me to Victoria Langston, the HOA president. In her polished office, she slid a thick folder across her mahogany desk. "We followed protocol," she said coolly. I knew at that moment this wasn't a mistake. It was theft. I left Victoria's office with my instincts screaming. Years as an FBI financial crimes investigator had taught me arrogance hides deception. I walked Cypress Ridge's spotless sidewalks, cataloging details. Every street named after Texas wildflowers, every mailbox identical, every resident eyeing me warily. Security cameras perched at every corner, a private patrol car circling like a shark. I stopped at the fountain where my aunt's beloved oak once stood. I returned to my hotel that night and opened my laptop. They claimed I'd been properly notified. I pulled public records. The notices had been mailed to an address demolished years before. The message came just after midnight. An unknown number, simple and direct. "If you want the truth about Cypress Ridge, meet me at Cafe Verde. Tomorrow, 10 a.m. I knew the type. Whistleblowers with too much to lose. I arrived early, choosing a booth in the back. At exactly 10, a young woman in a tailored navy suit slid into the seat across from me. Dark circles framed her cautious eyes. "Ethan Walker," she whispered. "I'm Sophia Reyes. I used to work for Victoria Langston. I have documents." "I know what they've done." I leaned in. The real story was about to unfold. Sophia spread out files across the worn tabletop, forged signatures, doctored permits, internal emails. I scanned the evidence in grim silence. Victoria Langston and Marcus Delaney had perfected a ruthless system target. Elderly owners send legal notices to invalid addresses, seize abandoned land under HOA bylaws, and flip it for obscene profits. My aunt had fought them, filing complaints no one acted on. Then I saw the real prize, a confidential report noting untapped mineral rights beneath my land. Victoria planned to sell them to Whitfield Energy for $50 million. This wasn't just theft. It was a corporate conspiracy. The next day, I sat across from Special Agent Ramirez at the Austin FBI field office, sliding Sophia's files across the table. His eyes hardened as he read. "We've been tracking Marcus Delaney but never had anything on Langston until now." A plan formed quickly. Sophia would return to Cypress Ridge as a double agent, pretending to seek forgiveness and offering to manage the Ethan Walker problem. Meanwhile, I would play the overwhelmed heir willing to settle for pennies. The trap was set. I knew Victoria's greed would push her to overplay her hand. All I had to do was wait. The Cypress Ridge Community Center brimmed with tension. Residents whispered as I stepped inside, the outsider threatening their perfect illusion. Victoria Langston stood at the podium, radiating confidence in her tailored suit. "We sympathize with Mr. Walker's confusion," she announced smoothly. "The development proceeded legally. Out of generosity, we offer him $250,000 to settle." I let the silence linger before pulling out my phone. I pressed play. Victoria's voice echoed through the hall. "We knew the old woman was dead. We sent the notices to the wrong address on purpose." Gasps filled the room. The mask had finally slipped. In the packed Travis County courtroom, I laid out my case with meticulous precision. Years of forensic investigation had led to this moment. Your Honor, I said, referencing Texas property code and case law precedent, structures built in bad faith on private land revert to the landowner. The judge leaned forward, intrigued. Victoria's attorney sputtered, but the law was clear. I presented documentation, forged permits, fraudulent conveyances, proof of intent. The courtroom held its breath. The ruling came swift and devastating. Not only was Victoria facing federal charges, but I was granted full legal ownership of all 120 homes. The fallout was immediate. FBI agents arrested Victoria Langston. Marcus Delaney was captured fleeing toward the Mexican border. Senator Charles Whitfield's ties unraveled under investigation. I declined to claim the homes, choosing instead to sell them back to the rightful residents at cost. Justice had been served, but the work wasn't over. Cypress Ridge transformed. I partnered with Sophia to create the Walker Trust proceeds, funded environmental cleanup, and a community assistance program. Residents rewrote HOA bylaws to guarantee transparency. Where Victoria's empire had stood, a vibrant neighborhood flourished. Block parties replaced secret meetings. The land once stolen now belonged to its people again. I stood by the new community garden, once Victoria's office, watching children play where corruption had ruled. The breeze carried faint echoes of my aunt's unwavering spirit. Her plan had worked. I smiled quietly. Sometimes the best revenge isn't punishment. It's rebuilding stronger, fairer, and proving that justice always finds a way.